Hi, my name is Becky Jennings, and this is the ResponseABLE Parenting Podcast. I give you the transformational tools to stop reacting to your children in the moment and start responding with intention. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of ResponseABLE Parenting. My name is Becky. I am your host, and today we are talking about something that I am so glad more women are talking about. And I also want to share more of my personal story about this so that you can get some insights if you want to start talking to your children as well about this. I'm talking about periods. And for as long as I can remember, there has been shame, stigma, there's been embarrassment around this topic. We as women have, I'm sure every single one of us has an embarrassing story about it. I'm sure every single one of us has been cast in a different light during this time of the month and maybe dismissed or passed off as a crazy woman because of hormones, or all of these things that have just carry around a lot of weight and shame. And we're often very much alone in the experience during this time of the month. And as women, we are cyclical beings. We are run by hormones and different waves of the month. We have our ovulation cycle and we have our menstrual cycle. And that really informs the way we are responding to things, the way we are open to things, the way we feel about things. As men, they have a 24-hour cycle. So it's the same hormones cycling through 24 hours a day. There's really not any huge adjustment for them. But for us, 2-week difference is very dramatic in how we feel, how our bodies feel, how receptive we are, and just how we're able to show up. And so I really want to destigmatize from a very early age with my children what this whole thing is, because a lot of the times I don't want them to feel that it's their fault that I'm responding in a certain way. I don't want them to be confused about maybe a different reaction during a different time, or they could have done the exact same thing 2 weeks apart and they're very different responses. So I really want to shed light to my children, my 2 young boys, about why women feel certain ways during the month. And I also want them to understand that this isn't something to be afraid of. This isn't something to avoid. This isn't something to cast judgment or shame around. This is a time to be supportive, to really ask how they can make a difference for that person in their life. And so I have come up with a playful way of explaining this to my children, and we call it egg time in the house. Once a month, I have egg time, and once a month, that is the time where we need to be a little bit kinder to mommy. And this is a time where they understand, and I can say, it's egg time, and they kind of go, oh, okay. And they ask how they can help versus pitching a longer fit. It really has made quite a difference. So how it all came out was I was having a really rough day one, and it was really painful. And we stopped at a store and got Midol on the way to a swim practice so that I could actually be standing for 4 hours and be engaged in my son's meet. And he had a lot of questions because he's 5 and he was curious. And so I shared with him in a really open way what it is. I basically said, once a month, a woman has an egg, and that egg, if it doesn't become a baby, has to come out. And that's what I'm experiencing. Right now, the egg is coming out and it hurts. And we walked through a little bit more of what that looks like, but he got it. He was like, okay, so that happens. And I explained that hormones in the body allow for this to happen, that certain hormones surge and certain hormones drop. And when that happens, things fluctuate in a woman's body. As a kid who loves science projects, he was really fascinated by the hormone aspect of things. And so we were able to really lean in to the hormone side of things when certain scenarios after this would come up. So he was able to understand that sometimes when I would be a little bit angrier or a little bit more reactive or not have as much patience or not have as much physical strength or not be able to, leave the bed for a little bit, he understood that was a chemical reaction happening in my body. And he now loves to talk about hormones. There's been a lot of other funny moments. My 3-year-old, in fact, asked me, he was really in thought when we were talking about this, and he asked me if I compost my eggs just like we compost our eggshells normally. So it's very cute to be able to talk to them about egg time in a way that doesn't bring a lot of ickiness or a lot of, the actual visuals of what a period looks like. They can learn that in time, and that is all fine and good. But in the meantime, what I am doing in my household is setting the foundation for my 2 young boys to understand that hormones change people's behaviors, hormones change reactions, and hormones are a natural thing in your body, and that we just need to kind of set up systems to support ourselves when these happen, because there's nothing wrong with them. They're completely normal and they will happen. As we know, it takes a village to raise our children, but more and more we are doing the entire job on our own, and that stops today. I have created a parent community app focused directly on giving you essential support tools. The ResponseABLE Parenting Community Group is available now. In this community, you will have more parenting strategies right at your fingertips. You'll have direct access to me and my coaching every month in our live Q&As, where you can bring your burning parenting questions and get my real-time support. I will host monthly exclusive workshops, facilitate weekly skill-building exercises, and more. This space is designed to meet you where you are at on your parenting journey. It's a judgment-free zone with parents and caregivers who are learning and growing right alongside of you. For less than $1 a day, you will have access to exclusive parenting content and coaching. I cannot wait to be a bigger part of your parenting journey. Head over to ResponseABLEParenting.com to join today. Enter promo code PODCAST to receive $10 off your first month. That's PODCAST for $10 off your first month. If we are confronted by hormones and we think we have to resist them or we think we need to change them, then we're running into a situation that will never ultimately have a good ending. So if we can understand in advance that there will be a certain time every month called egg time, that mommy needs more support because mommy's hormones are reacting. I'm having a chemical reaction in my body. There's a lot more space. There's a lot more understanding. There's just a lot more connection. I don't need to be over explaining anything. And they also know that it's not their fault, and they are not the reason for a certain frustration or my thermometer being a little bit higher than normal. So I just wanted to share that very, very quick tip and tool that we use in our household. It's just kind of like an entry point into speaking about a much bigger topic. But if there's early understanding, early awareness, then it doesn't need to carry such weight, and it doesn't need to be so scary. And as they grow up with this understanding, it's just normal, and there's no shame and there's no stigma, and you can take a lot of the heft out of it. So I hope that was at least entertaining and maybe something that you use in your household. But when you say egg time, my kids know it's a time for support, not a time to keep digging our heels in and going a little bit crazy. Well, thank you anyways for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Thank you for listening to the ResponseABLE Parenting Podcast. If you like what you heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. If you know someone who would benefit from this podcast, I'd be honored if you'd share this episode with them. Until next time, know that you are enough, you are capable, you've made it through all of your hardest days, and we will keep growing on this parenting journey together. This podcast was produced by Kim Kelty and myself, Becky Jennings, and edited by the Kelty Method Branding and Podcasting.